Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Thursday afternoon, October 29th. We are looking at the SPY ETF's market profile here on Window Trader. And, well, let's put right off the bat, I had a bad day because I had a really bad trade. I made money on 4 to 5 trades and ended up red pretty good. We'll go over that in a minute. I shouldn't have ended up red because I had multiple opportunities to get back what I lost and more in L&M period. But again, I'll never blame anybody but myself. I guess with my mental reserve getting shot a bit, just didn't pull the trigger a couple of times, but I certainly could have gotten it all back and more. Yesterday, we took back we almost had an outside day up. We opened, drove up right up to the very visual park we talk about, came back through the opening, take out yesterday's low, and is nothing below us, really. We filled that last set of single prints from September 25th. So if these sellers, like we talked about earlier, are these long-term sellers? Well, if they were long-term sellers, they finally filled the last set of single prints from the 25th. There was nothing for another $3 to the downside. Stopped on a dime, got above the opening, and never saw it again. We ended up going 7 wide. Looked like fading highs was the thing to do, which got me in trouble as I got too comfortable in H and I, and I'll explain that in a minute. And then ripped higher, took out the trend A from yesterday, took out the high, but we don't have an outside day up. We chipped into the gap. The gap is still huge above us. I did not think we were going to have an outside day up, which even lends more credence to me being way at fault for not getting back that losing trade by taking a short in L and M period to get my money back. So let's go over what I did, what happened, and what we look for tomorrow. And hopefully this helps all of you guys and gals, because that's what it's here for. So let me see the first trade I took. It seems so long ago. A period. When we opened, I took a short against value low initially. When we got into M period, no, it wasn't against. I'm trying to think what I did. Took the 329 puts. I made money on that trade. I said value low. Again, I'm in 8-tick increments. So I think it was against value low and the price probe low from yesterday. And I made money on that trade when we came back down below the opening. Got up to POC. Didn't do anything. I was like, okay, I'm not sure if we're going to come back in now. We got back inside of today's range. I was like, that short for me for then was off the table. I actually got long in B period against yesterday's low, 326 calls, and that worked out nicely. We held the opening and rode it back up. C period. One time framed up, we had single prints, and even though we took out B's high, I was like, value was unchanged. I was like, are we getting... It's amazing, by the way. M period's range from yesterday was huge. It was 374 ticks, or 72 ticks. That's huge. Well, remember what we talk about. We got M's low, got back above the open, and I said, well, there's a good chance we'll get it. So I did have the long, but I certainly didn't hold it. Again, my fault. I could have held the long all the way up to M period. I didn't, but I still made money on my long. Then I took a short in C. That worked out because we did get M's high, but then rolled over, and that trade worked out. And then D eventually came down into the single prints. So let me see and I did take another short in D. Yes, so I took the short in C. That worked. Took a short in D. That worked. Even though it didn't fill the single prints, I took it before we took out C's low since we couldn't take out. Actually, we did take out. I apologize. We took out D's. I'm trying to think if we took out D's low first or D's high. But whatever we did, we just looked above C's high and came back in, and I made money on that short. I apologize. I forget which way it went first. However, actually, I think it took out the low first, then the high. But I made money on that short. Now, here's where I got myself in trouble. So now I'm looking for an afternoon pullback low to get long. The indices are up. We rejected yesterday's low. E comes down. Well, that's still the morning. It can't be an afternoon pullback. I was looking for F to take out E's low. Never did anything. So what happens? H comes down, makes a new low. I was hoping it came lower because if this was going to be the afternoon pullback low now, it was right near the point of control, which was G's low at the time. So it didn't push lower. I was like, okay, once we took out G's high and got near the day's high, I'm like, well, fading it has worked a couple of times. So I faded it, and I bought the 331 puts. That's all well and good, but here's where the problem lies. Once I period open, and we did not fill the single prints, something changed, right? You always hear me say that. Something changed. So what did I do? Instead of getting out of the puts and taking a loss, but nothing big, we get up to F's high now. I added. I'm like, okay, we're in the single prints. Maybe they hold. I added. I did that all the way up to where the highest accepted price was. Finally got out and got hurt really, really bad. Bad trade. Poor trade. In fact, I told the room, I said, if we end up taking out F's high, the odds of filling these single prints from yesterday are very good. So, again, telling the room one thing and doing something totally the opposite is absolutely shame on me, and I'll never blame anybody. I could have been out for, not only could I have been out for a minimal loss once I didn't fill the single prints, I should have gotten on board with a long and used the single print fill as my out. Because once we took out eyes high, boom, look what we did. Even if I got out at eyes high, who cares? That would have been a really nice trade. I would have definitely have gotten back whatever I lost on that short because it would have been a lot less, and I would have made money in a long. So shame on me. The market profile doesn't lie. Market profile isn't to blame. I'm to blame. And again, I don't think you're going to get many people to sit here on a video and tell you that. But I'd only be lying to myself and the room if I'm not honest, right? If I'm not honest, what good is it to anybody, especially myself? So, where could I have made my money back? That was my last trade of the day. So J ripped higher, K ripped higher, made a new high. We have a possibility of an outside day up. And I told the room, I don't think we'll get that. L open, never got above yesterday's high. So I actually had a sizable 335 put teed up. But I didn't realize initially with the new company I'm trading with, they had me limited. So the amount I had in there, I went to buy it and it wouldn't let me buy it. And L came in pretty good after that. Now, am I going to blame them? Absolutely not. Because even though, and believe me, it came in almost $1. But I had other chances. Now, the second chance, a lot of times I'm like, okay, I don't want to buy it or whatever. But even M period got within 4 ticks of L's high. Talk about risk reward. And look what it did after that. We got to within that, and it came in over $2.50. Over $2.50. So I can't use the excuse that I missed it the first time, that I didn't get my money back, because I could have shorted it at least 2 more times in L, and I could have shorted it again at M's high. Okay. Now, before I get to the destinations, earnings came out. First, Amazon shot up $130. Now, from what I'm seeing in my voice channel, people texting that it's down on the day. Google had good earnings. But regardless, again, the profile is going to tell you everything. And what happened? We shot up in end period, and now look where we're trading. We're trading back down where the point of control was. Utterly amazing. So all they did was rip apart shorts here, longs here. They do a good job of it. Somebody, plus they took me along for the ride. But again, that's nobody's fault but my own. All right, let's go over destinations for tomorrow. So for the upside, we don't have anything. Now we close, they're showing the close in SPY at 329.98. My first destination on the upside is today's high, 333.39. So that's almost $3.50 higher. So you talk about the chop we're going to get inside today's range, and then filling the gap at 337.99, 460 point gap. And then above that, we have 339.02, which is 11 wide from October 27th. for the downside. Believe it or not, now the ES filled all their single prints. We leave I think 3 cents. Let me see. M's low was 329.93, 5 cents. So we actually have single prints from 329.92 to 87, 5 cents worth. Then below that, we have the afternoon pullback low in H of 328.57, and then nothing until today's low of 325.09. So you talk about tomorrow, the chop we're going to see inside of here should be, again, a very fun day with good volatility, except I better get my act together and not do what I did today. Now, Apple earnings are out in 10 minutes. So, again, that could also affect the market. Might push it down more or might take it back up. But they're moving pretty good. Let's go to the charts. Yes, it's a long video, but, again, this is to teach you guys and gals in here. You know, I didn't call the market. The funny thing is, I didn't call the market wrong. I executed it wrong. I told the room. Yeah, it's why I'm not going to say I got lulled to sleep in H period. I got comfortable in H period taking that short. Let me go back again. And again, I know it's long, but I think it's so important. Let me go back again before we go to the charts. I got comfortable. Why did I get comfortable shorting here? Well, look what happened yesterday. We never could get into the upper, we could never get to the upper, the top of the lower distribution. So I was leaning on that. We had single prints. I was leaning on that. We had the highest accepted price. I was leaning on that. And guess what? I got killed because I got comfortable adding instead of but instead of doing what I said to the room. If we take out F's high from yesterday, these single prints are going to fill. So that's a big difference between getting lulled to sleep and I think getting comfortable. All right. 1 day to go in the month. So unless something really drastic happens, and you never know, we were down, $11-12 yesterday. All we need is $10 to the downside tomorrow. We get $10 to the downside, we'll take out last month's low. Is that going to happen? No idea. But I would think the odds are still pretty good for an inside month. So if that's the case, we should have real great opportunities starting Monday. Weekly. We are down, one-time framing down. The next target still on the weekly is 319.80. The question is, are you going to get it tomorrow or are we going to get it possibly next week? Daily. Balance. We took out yesterday's low, but we also took out yesterday's high, which puts us back into balance. It's a 2-day balance. Today's high and low are the balance areas. So tomorrow morning, if we open near today's high, I would probably look to take a short because not only is it the top of a balance, but we also have the huge gap. We'll see how that reacts. And on the flip side, if we come down to yesterday's low, I'd look to take a long probably against it. However, if we take out yesterday's low, then that trades off, and I will look to get short because the next destination, especially if we get any kind of good selling, is last month's low. 89 million shares, better than average, but it's not going to be near yesterday's volume. Again, I do believe all this was short-term money, again, the last 2 days, but short-term money can move this market pretty damn hard. When you start shaking out week longs or you're getting shorts to cover, and then you have shorts piling on when you're going down. So keep that in mind. Anyway, I hope you guys and gals had a better trading day than I did. Good luck tonight. Stay safe. Have a great night. And we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.